Get ready, because here's your host, Tyson Mutrux.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Guild Live show. I've got a really exciting show today. I've got some fun stuff. We're going to start with something really fun. So what we have on the docket, Night of the Comet, the two-way door, coffee naps, better decisions, and we're going to talk about the yellow pages. We're going to end by talking about the yellow pages. I want to start with Night of the Comet. So Comet, not just going to give you an idea as to what how I came up with the name Night of the Comet. There was a movie when I was a kid. I remember we had it on VHS. I've not seen it as an adult. It's probably a terrible movie, but Night of the Comet, it was about, I remember this guy woke up. I think he was with his girlfriend or something. They woke up. And I remember him having this sliding glass or this sliding door. It was like a big metal sliding door. He comes out and the earth had been hit by a comet and everyone was gone. Like there was no one there. It's really kind of interesting. Well, Perplexity came out with a new browser AI agent called Comet. I mentioned it last week on the show. And I've been playing around with it a little bit, and I thought it'd be fun. And for people that are listening, I'm gonna walk through this and I'm gonna talk it through so you can actually understand what I'm doing. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to start the show by going through and playing around a little bit with Comet. It is really interesting. I don't think it's good enough yet based on how much I've played around with it, and it is limited, but I will tell you it is pretty darn good, and it's going to get better. I can only imagine how good it's going to get in the future. So I do want to pull up. I was playing around with it this morning just to see maybe what some additional things it might be able to do. And I was pleasantly surprised with it. I was using it. I used it last week when it first came out. I used it, yesterday, playing around with it. I've been playing around with it today, and it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to share. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I've got to have it. And what I'm doing is right now is I'm setting it up. I have to have it in a way where it's big enough, because if you have the screen shrunk down, you're not going to be able to completely see everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with everybody that is watching, and it's big enough, I think, that you're going to be able to see everything that I'm doing. So here we go. Well, the browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen to see if it continues. That is very interesting. So StreamYard is not letting me share that screen for some reason. Bizarre. But what I will do is, I think what it might allow me to do is share my entire screen. So let me try that. And if not, we'll pivot to the next one, and I'll come back to this one in a second. But maybe it'll let me do my entire screen, and that should not be a problem. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to end up doing a full screen share, and I'm going to move everybody over here. Those of you that are watching, I'm going to move you over here, and now we'll do here. So you got my full screen up, and what I have is Kashif and I have been talking about crypto a little bit, and he has been telling me what to recommend, or has been recommending to me some things to add. And so these are some different ones. And for people that are listening, I have the crypto name. These are the columns: crypto name, ticker, whether or not Kashif is invested, his investment amount, whether Tyson's invested, my investment amount, and then notes. For those of you who are watching, you can see I've not invested anything in this. But what I is the Bitcoin earlier today. This is one that Comet added for me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type into the assistant, which is on the right side of the screen. You got the spreadsheet in the middle of the screen. And by the way, we're not just going to do spreadsheet. We're going to go into N8N and see if it'll help me build a workflow. So part of this is, and I do know it because it helped me with some workflow stuff yesterday inside of N8N. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to build a workflow from scratch to see if it will do it. I don't know if it will. This is us testing this together. But first, we're going to do the spreadsheet. So let's type in add the 10 most popular we call them cryptocurrencies to this spreadsheet along with their ticker symbols. So we're going super basic right now, right? That's what we're doing. So I've added that into the chat window. So I've given it the prompt. And right now what we're going to do is we're going to see if this will do what we asked it to do. What I noticed the other day is that it would not always do it. I would have to do an additional prompt, something along the lines of do this without me assisting you, or do this on your own. I played around with a few different prompts. Sometimes it would just give me the information. Sometimes it would actually do it for me. And it was getting a little frustrating because I'm thinking like, man, I could just copy and paste a lot faster. And I think what the benefit is going to be, that's where we're starting really, really basic. I think as this gets more and more advanced, this is going to be more like a set it and forget it. All right. So it's already typing in, it's added Ethereum, and it's very slow. It's added the ticker symbol, which is fantastic. I don't think it's going to touch any of the other stuff because I've not given it any additional guidance. So it's added one. I've asked it to give us the top 10 there. And I'm guessing also that it's already saw that I have Bitcoin in there. So it may not add anything else. Now it's adding Tether. All right. So it's adding that. So Tether USDT. It's moved over to the ticker symbol. So for those of you who are watching, you can see where it's changing which columns it's going into, which to me, that's pretty cool. While it's doing this, I'm going to bring my chat over here so I can monitor the chat if anybody's in there. But so we've got that moved over. Okay, so now it's adding BNB. I don't know what BNB is. Never heard of BNB. I'm not someone that really invests in crypto. As you can tell, I've got $0 invested. But so it's added BNB, and then the ticker symbol, shocker, is actual BNB. All right, very cool. So we're gonna let this keep going, and we're gonna let this one cook, as my kiddos like to say. And now we're gonna move over to. We're gonna see. Let's see how good this thing is at actually building out a workflow. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions in the chat, would love to hear it. Otherwise, I'll just make up a basic word flow for it to build. But let's open. So the chat is open. So I've got the assistant open already. So I'd like you to, actually, I won't say I'd like to, build out a workflow that, let's see, what do we want it to do? I'm trying to think of something that would be beneficial for people that are listening or people that are watching, something that would be fairly useful. So what kind of workflow? I'm thinking something when it comes to email or calendar. So let's do, I'm going to go really basic. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to have it give me, and actually check this out. I've not done this yet, but we're going to do the voice mode. And it says, wait, all right, so here's what I'd like to do. I would like for you to build me a workflow that inside of N8N that takes my calendar and it gives me a rundown for my month. So at the beginning of every month, I want a breakdown of all of the activities for the entire month sent to me via click. So I'd like for you to build that out for me.
You typically connect your calendar to N8N. and set a trigger at the start of each month. Then you'd gather all events for the upcoming month and format them into a summary. Finally, you'd use the Click API to send that summary to yourself. Let me know if you have specific tools or APIs in mind, or if you'd like me to suggest common integrations.
So I'm using Google Workspace for our firm. So what I'd like you to do is use Google Calendar. So start building it, and so I'd like for it to on the first of every month. That's what I want to be the trigger. So first of every month, and then so start building it out. So start getting everything from my Google Calendar, and then what you'll do is you'll integrate that with Click. And so those are already integrated into N8N currently. So go ahead and start building that out for me.
Got it. The workflow will have a time trigger set for the first of each month. Then it'll pull all events from your Google Calendar for that month. Finally, it'll format and send that summary through Click. You should be able to just enable that workflow and it'll run automatically. Let me know if you need any custom formatting or specific details included.
Nope. Begin building, please.
I can't directly build workflows inside N8N myself, but I can guide you step by step on setting it up. Would you like me to walk you through the steps inside?
Okay, so now we know the audio mode does not do that. So there we go. We've learned something. So what I will do is I'll type this in, build a workflow. So I'm typing this in now. So build a workflow that sends me a Click message. I'll better put Zoho Click message at the beginning of each month that lays out all of my schedule for the entire month. Let's just see what it does. Let's see if it will start building this for us. I actually don't think it's going to do it. Now you can see here where there's a little, I don't know, icon at the bottom where it's got a kind of like a stop button, stop Comet Assistant. You can see now it's actually going through. I am optimistic because at first I didn't think it was going to work, but it is taking control of my screen. For those of you watching can see that it's actually, it's okay. Now I'm optimistic. It's creating the trigger. It's actually doing this for me. Wow, I'm happy now. This is good. So it's creating the trigger. It's choosing some months between triggers, the day of the month. It's choosing that. It's choosing to do it at midnight. It looks like. It shows 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. on the first of every single month. And so it is creating. Oh, it's saying. It's asking chat, changes you made may not be saved. I am going to hit, it's asking me to leave. I'm going to hit cancel and see what happens. Because I don't think it wants to do that, but maybe I'm wrong. But so there was something it had me do where it had me decide whether or not to leave this screen or stay on it. It is now going and changing the code. It's changing the output. That's very interesting. So it's doing the work. Let's go back over to crypto because I want to make sure we have enough time for all the stories. So back over to the crypto, it's added since we last checked in XRP, USD coin, Dogecoin, Tron, and Cardano, and it appears to have been done. Here appears to be done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It created 8. Bitcoin, I'm assuming, is going to be the number 1, and then one of these other ones might be number 2. So that may be why it did it. I've added the 10 most popular cryptocurrencies, starting at row 7 with names in column A. So already present were Bitcoin, Solana, and Avalanche. So those 3 were already there. So they added 7 new items. So it did the spreadsheet work for me. So that's fantastic. Now we're back over in, and it has begun the trigger. It is actually building, it's building this thing out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave this. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to move on to the next story and we're going to revisit it at the end. So this will be a fun little one for us to do. So, all right, here we go. We're having some fun on this one. This is, I'm going without a net. I don't know what it's going to do. I really have zero idea. We're going to come back to it and see what happens. So very good. Let's get to our next story. And this is one I thought would be fun. It's a video that I saw someone post, and I'm going to play it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for everybody so you can see it. And then we will go from there. So we can discuss it afterwards. Here we go.
Bezos hated the idea of Amazon Prime. They hated the idea of Prime Video. They didn't like the idea of Amazon Web Services. Now, Jeff has an interesting notion, which is what he calls a two-way door. What a two-way door is something where you can walk through the door, and if you don't like what you see, you can walk back. Try it. If it works, whoop-de-doo, that's great. If it doesn't work, we simply stop doing it. And to be honest, the trial possibly cost less than we would have spent just arguing about it if we were adopting a kind of purist approach. Why I think this is becoming vitally important is most business is probabilistic, but everybody in business wants to prove and pretend that it's deterministic. So every spreadsheet is in some ways an act of pretense because it's past information which you pretend has wonderful predictive value, as if it's kind of Laplace's demon, but it really doesn't, okay? Because weird shit happens out of nowhere all the time.
What I really liked about this message is, and it was relevant to my firm when I saw this video, and I just saw it, I think, over the weekend. Okay. We're making some changes in the firm and some different roles and moving some things around to try to make things more efficient. And we got a little bit of pushback, not a lot. We got a little bit of pushback from the team. They were a little reluctant. And the way I view this, what I really like about this message is it allows you to move fast. Okay. We have a thing we want to do. Let's try it. Let's not debate about it. Let's try it. Okay. Boom. You made a quick decision to do that because you're going to try it. We have this idea. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, you walk back out the door. Okay. It doesn't work. Boom. Another quick decision. So it allows you to iterate really, really quickly. And so instead of you wasting, and I bet when I say this is going to ring true with a lot of you, think about how many times you spent just toiling over and arguing over whether or not to do a decision. You make the decision and either you loved it or you didn't. But either way, the thing happened. You did whatever you had to with it. But if you had just made the decision faster, you would have gotten to that result faster. That's what I like about this. It's quick decision making, and that's what I love about it. It's quick decision making. It allows you to move very, very quickly. So that's all I have on that one. I think that one's a fun one. The next thing I want to talk about, this is crazy. It's coffee naps. We're going to talk about coffee naps. And I saw this and I thought, this is absolutely insane. This is not real. Guess what? It's real. It's totally real. Coffee naps are actually a thing. And we're getting to the science behind it because it actually is something that is helpful. And you're about to find out how. By the way, I did look into this. This isn't something where I'm just relying on this video. I looked into it. It is, and I'm going to get into some of the stuff in a second, but it's really interesting how it works. And I'm going to increase the screen so you can actually see it. But it's wild to me. I never would have thought this was a thing, but it's totally a thing. So here we go.
We're obviously going to focus on the receptor that has to do with caffeine. And I've drawn this in as these little green Ys, and these green Ys represent the adenosine receptor. Now, the blue diamond is the actual adenosine molecule, which will obviously bind to the adenosine receptor. And maybe you've heard of something called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is the energy currency for your cells. And your neurons actually burn through a lot of energy, or ATP, throughout the day. So again, that adenosine starts to build up on the outside of the neurons and then can start binding to those adenosine receptors. But what does that cause to have happen? Well, when adenosine binds to the adenosine receptors, it suppresses the activity of your neurons. So your neurons will fire less frequently, less intensely. And to you, that feels like you might feel a little bit more tired or fatigued, less focused, less alert. But we bring caffeine into the picture. You ingest it in some way, it gets into your bloodstream. The caffeine will diffuse from the bloodstream and bind to one of those adenosine receptors. It's close enough in shape to the original adenosine, but to bind, but not close enough to actually activate the receptor. So caffeine blocks the effects of adenosine and therefore has these opposing effects. Instead of feeling tired, less alert, more fatigued, you get increased awareness, increased alertness. You're more focused. And you can definitely apply those characteristics to athletic performance and performing better in certain sports to be more focused and more alert.
All right. So that's where the video ends. And so we're going to go through this. And we started with the science part of it so that it makes a little more sense. All right. So basically, here's what a coffee nap is. Sometimes they're called a caffeine nap, a nappuccino. That's what ChatGPT told me it also goes under sometimes. Nappuccino is where you drink a caffeinated beverage and then you immediately take a short nap around 15 to 30 minutes. 20 minutes is the recommended amount. Okay. And then, so the caffeine, it blocks the adenosine, which it's that chemical that induces the sleepiness. And it binds it to the receptors in your brain. At the same time, the short nap helps clear the adenosine buildup. And so by the time you wake up, the caffeine hits an empty playing field of adenosine receptors, boosting alertness more effectively. All right. So that's generally how it works. And there are multiple controlled studies on this. This isn't just, oh, we tried this. It improves cognitive performance. This is where, at a University of Alabama, they actually did this with people at the news station. It helps with memory and athletic performance, which is really interesting. It was tested with shift work employees. And so in a simulated night shift study, participants who consumed 200 milligrams caffeine, then took a 30-minute nap, demonstrated greater vigilance and reduced fatigue in the subsequent 45 minutes. Compared to a placebo. So that's only the 45 minutes afterwards. So Sleep Foundation advocates keeping the nap short. So ideally 20 minutes and taken after lunch, not too close to bedtime. So the timing of it is that it should be close to lunchtime and not close to when you're actually going to sleep. Here's what what experts also recommend. So sleep. They found that caffeine naps enhanced alertness and performance, particularly among night shift workers. It's citing that other study. And let's see. Reinforced that this other study, when it comes to health and wellness, reinforced that coffee naps can improve mood, alertness, and cognitive performance when timed properly. Really kind of interesting. They say that timing is everything for most. The optimal window is early to mid-afternoon, and that's when the circadian energy dip hits. So it's around 1 to 3 p.m. Avoid late naps that interfere with nighttime sleep, because that would obviously be detrimental. Also, drink quickly, nap immediately. So down your coffee swiftly, so around 150 to 200 milligrams of caffeine, and lie down right away so the caffeine begins working just as you awake. That's interesting, awaken. And then the nap duration also, this is a big part of it. Got to aim for the 15 to 20 minutes in length. That's long enough to clear the adenosine, but short enough to avoid deep sleep and sleep inertia. And then avoid excessively long naps. Naps over 30 minutes may lead to grogginess and have been linked to longer-term health risks like increased cardiovascular concerns when taken habitually. That's interesting. That was something I knew. All right, very cool. So there you go. Coffee naps. It's a real thing. I've not tried it. I'm going to try it. You better believe I'm going to try it. So I'll report back, and I would love to hear from you all if you have if you try it yourself or if you've done it yourself. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is about better decisions, and this is something that Chris Williamson had posted. I really like Chris Williamson. He Modern Wisdom is the name of his podcast, and just really good stuff that he always talks about. So let's hear this
you
one.
will end up wherever is acceptable to you. There are certain things to me that are very, very important where I will not settle for second best. But then there are a lot of other things I just don't care about. So in decision making, I have a few heuristics for myself. Mine are, if you can't decide, the answer is no. Secondly, if you have two decisions and both seem like very equal, take the path that's more painful in the short term. And then finally, the last one, which I would try to couple Gupta with, is that you want to take the choice that will leave you more equanimous in the long term. By equanimous, he means like more at peace, more mental peace in the long term. And then I would focus decision making down on the three things that really matter. Early in life, you're trying to figure out who you're with, what you're doing, and where you live. And people do some of these unconsciously. Who you're with, very often it's like, well, we were in a relationship, we stumbled along, it felt okay, it had been enough time, so we got married. If you're the kind of person that's not going to settle for second best, you iterate on a closed time frame so you don't run out the clock, and then you decide. On what you do, you try a whole bunch of different things until you find the one that feels like play to you, looks like work to others. You can't lose at it. Get some leverage, try to find some practical application of it and go into that. And then where you live really constrains and defines your opportunities. And I think they put a lot less thought into that one than the other two.
I thought that was really good. I really, and so I can put the videos in the in the show notes for everybody, but I thought there were some really good messages in those. And so from the two-way door and then this one, these were two really impactful videos. I thought that hopefully you got something from. I thought that was a really good way to think about decision making. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. But I'm moving a little quicker because I want to be able to revisit before we get to before we get to the yellow pages. I want to revisit the visit Comet, and that way we can see kind of what Comet's up to and see if it did anything. Okay, so that's a little disappointing. For those of you that are watching, you can see why. For those of you listening, it stopped at the trigger. It stopped at the trigger, but then what it did is it gave me a lot of other information. It says what I've completed, created workflow, monthly schedule to Zoho Click. It did type that in. Well, yeah, it did type that in as the name of it. It added the schedule trigger, and then it saved and activated the workflow. I don't know why it would activate the workflow. That's kind of a silly thing to do. But it did. What remains to finish: add Google Calendar node to fetch all events, add code node to format the month's schedule into a readable message, add HTTP request node to send it to Click. Zoho Click, step by step to finish inside. And so it gives me a step-by-step guide, and it also gives me the JavaScript, which is good. So the code node, what it allows me to do. So it formats the message, but I can just copy this code that it's given me and into that node, and then it'll do the work, and then I can test it all. So I'd say a little disappointing that it did not finish it, but you know what? Like I said before, this is something that we were testing out. I didn't know what it was going to do. I was impressed that it even did the scheduled trigger. That was so that I'm actually satisfied with just that, to be honest with you. All right. Then the last thing I want to talk about is I'm not going to share the post on this one. I don't need to, but what it was is, it makes me think this is both for the older attorneys that remember the yellow pages and whenever they were phased out, and for the younger attorneys that weren't around during that time. I was in that sort of back end of yellow pages where they still existed. I remember an attorney tried to get me to he was under contract. He tried to get me to buy that contract. Yeah, after the fact, I realized he was trying to screw me over, to be honest with you. But luckily, I did not do it. But I do remember when yellow pages were starting to kind of be on the way out. At one point, though, it was the deal, right? It was the deal. And now, however, we are in this weird spot where SEO, for most of us, all we've known is SEO, right? And or even if you were around during the yellow pages, you remember the yellow pages, but then you remember how big SEO became and how important SEO was. And now we are on the back, I think we're on the back end of that, where Google has become the yellow pages. That doesn't mean that Gemini is not going to replace what it had, right? It's not, that doesn't mean but we are probably on the back of the yellow pages where the SEO part of it is on the way out. And what is going to replace it is the LLMs. And this post is about that. Now, what they are doing is they are promoting a product, which I'm going to ignore that part of it. But I thought that the message was spot on. So here's part of the post. So Google currently drives $2.4 trillion of commerce. In 5 years, $1 trillion of that will shift to ChatGPT. That's fast. It's going to happen faster than that. I talked about this last week. It's happening faster than what people are predicting. People have been talking about 5 years for a while, and then the 3 years. It's going to be faster than that. I promise you. Becoming ChatGPT's #1 recommendation could be worth $100 million plus to your business. For law firm owners, it'll be less than that, but it's still going to be a significant chunk. Here's what should terrify every CEO. ChatGPT hit 700 million weekly users, growing 4x year over year. 47% of consumers already use answer engines like ChatGPT to research purchases. ChatGPT handles 1 billion plus queries daily. That's 1/8 of Google. At current growth rates, AI assistants will drive 30% of all product decisions by 2029. Whoa. If your company generates greater than $1 million from SEO, you're facing an existential threat. Ranking #1 on Google will soon be as relevant as ranking #1 in the yellow pages. Okay. That's why I brought this up. Here's the paradigm shift. In the SEO era, you optimize articles to rank for keywords, but answer engines don't crawl your SEO optimized pages. They form opinions from authentic discussions on Reddit, niche forums, and community blogs. The brands dominating these conversations become their default recommendations. Every company built on SEO is about to watch its distribution channel evaporate. Okay. That's the bulk of the post, and why I wanted to bring it up. I guess I'm going to add this. There's a part in here that I think would be beneficial. So in under 12 months, over 2,000 marketers at companies like Ramp, US Bank, Indeed, MongoDB, DocuSign, and Chime have used this product to monitor how answer engines describe their brand, identify which Reddit threads and forums shape AI opinions in their category, drive up to 700% increases in AI referrals, and then generate six-figure revenue directly from AI recommendations. The reason I'm not mentioning the product is because I have not tested it. I don't know if it's any good. I don't want to give some sort of free advertising to a product that's garbage. I don't know if it's good or not. So that's why I'm not mentioning it, but it is a very valuable lesson to start. I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about how to do it in the guild. I've given a guide on how to make sure that you've got your website set up for the LLMs, which will also help you in your SEO as well. But shifting, you have to start adjusting your sites, how you're creating your content, all of that, to make it more, make them more friendly for LLM. So we need to start focusing on that. And I will continue to remind you all about this because it's that important. I don't want to be in 5 years, you will say, I wish I would have started sooner. Start now. Really, really important. But that is all I have for this week's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a little fun with Comet. Hopefully you all have some fun with it too, but have a great week, everybody, and we will see you.
Our next mastermind in New York City is sold out. But don't worry, there's still time to get your tickets to the mastermind and Max LawCon in Nashville in October. Max LawCon is 2 days of immersive learning, powerful insights, and meaningful connections, all designed to provide actionable strategies you'll take back to your firm and implement right away. No fluff, just real talk and tangible takeaways you can implement immediately. Go to maxlawevents.com for more details.
I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity.